As for the upcoming elections, a new i24News Israel Hayom poll released on Thursday showed a virtual tie between Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at 31 seats and Blue and White Party leader Benny Gantz with 30 seats. The poll also revealed that 40% of Israelis still believe Netanyahu is the best choice to be Prime Minister, followed by Benny Gantz at 23%. To discuss all of this, let's bring in Middle East analyst Micah Halpern. So Micah, looking at this latest poll from i24News and Israel Hayom, it's bad news for Prime Minister Netanyahu because he still needs Avigdor Lieberman to form a government. The good news for him, though, is that lately Avigdor Lieberman started attacking his rival, Benny Gantz, more than he's attacking Netanyahu. He's telling Israeli voters that by voting for him, the Israel Beitenu party, it's the only way of guaranteeing a secular unity government. Do you see a secular government in Israel?
Well, it is a secular government, but I need to talk about the polls to start with. And the reason why, since July, they've been about the same, except for Lieberman's rise. That's been the real difference. The reality, though, is that polls are wrong most of the time now. And the reason is that there's a standard deviation of plus, minus 5 or 6. That means if they're polling at 30, let's say, plus means one party might have 35, minus might mean the other party has 25. So there's a big difference. So we can't really rely a lot on the polls right now. What we can say is that there are two big parties and they're close. And there are a lot of smaller parties and they're close too.
So no matter what poll we're looking at, it all shows a neck-to-neck race between Blue and White and Likud. But do you think, we have now 11 days before the vote, that Netanyahu would be able to pull out some tricks? He's known for it, the magician, the crunch time strategy.
Right. There's no question that if he can leech some of the Blue and White members towards him, even if they have 30 or 31 or 32, if he can pull people who are probably leaning towards his side anyhow, who will have gotten in from the Blue and White ticket, he will have a government. If he could pull out 5, he's absolutely got it. There's no question about it. In other words, what happens is that Blue and White is suffering right now. They're not organized well. And when they have a leadership which is somewhat parva, I've known him for 20 years and he doesn't have character. He really doesn't. He's straight as an arrow. That's not the problem. The problem is he really doesn't have character. And as a result, it's people are saying, well, who's going to be the leader? And so is it going to be Lapid? No. Is it going to be against? Yes. And they're actually even talking about maybe, there's some polls are saying, what if they break the rotation agreement that they have?
Well, speaking of breaking like the inner party, Blue and White and also Lieberman are spreading this narrative that Likud members, that Likud officials are not really united behind Netanyahu. You think that's the case? Do you think he could be ousted after the election?
Well, here's what's really happening is Lieberman is floating this idea that he can actually unite both big parties under one condition, that Netanyahu stepped down. So what he's trying to say is, I can unite and create a government under the only condition, though, is that Netanyahu has to go. So it doesn't matter who wins in the election. What matters is how you create the government. I don't think he's going to be successful at it, but that's what he's trying to do. And a lot of Likud members actually met with him this week to talk about that.
All right, Micah Halpern, thank you so much. We have 11 more days to talk to you. Fascinating conversation, as always.